Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to attempt my very first actual video, which will be a part of a series from which I will be calling the Beginner's Timeline. This will not be an attempt to explain the setting as a whole, but rather as an assistance tool for those who wish to get into the lore of the pre-2014 expanded universe. As such, I will only be focusing on major events and the Sith leading them. This is not to say that those groups of members not shown are insignificant, weak, or anything else, merely that their presence and influence on the expanding universe is not as significant. This will be an attempt to make getting into the history and lore of the Sith Order, predating the Sith Rule 2 by Darth Bane, easier for those who wish to do so. While there is previous Sith history than what I will begin with, there is not enough coverage of the previous history other than in the form of myths that I do not believe is worth exploring in this video. A little under 7,000 years before the time of the original trilogy, there is a convergence of two separate groups which emerged as the true Sith. You had the 12 Dark Jedi Exiles who survived the 100-year darkness, and the ancient Sith race led by kings on the roads of Korriban and Ziost. The Dark Jedi Exiles, led by Junta Paul, murdered the Sith King and claimed his position as the Dark Lords of the Sith. They then began the long process of mixing of knowledge, technique, and power as the Dark Jedi and Sith mingled in more ways than one. This would spark the Golden Age of the Sith. The Sith Golden Age of the Sith is explored in very little detail, minus what is shown within the Tales of the Jedi comics. The one Sith ruler that we know that existed during this age, in between that of the Dark Jedi Exiles and Marka Ragnos, is that of Tulak Hord, who has very little to his name other than myth and legend. The Sith Golden Age would come to an end as the Dark Lord of the Sith, Marka Ragnos, died of what is believed to be natural causes, a rare occurrence amongst the Sith. With this, a power struggle began between two Sith Lords, Ludo Kresh and Naga Sato, which Sato would win not through physical power, but through his political machinations. Sato quickly began an attempt to invade the Galactic Republic, and the Sith of his era would prove to be too few in manpower to properly fight this war, leading to the Sith's defeat. This war would be known as the Great Hyperspace War. Out of this war would reside three main splinter groups of the Sith: Naga Sato and his Massassi on the moon of Yavin 4, the Sith Emperor Vitiate, which escaped to Dromund Kaas, and a lost tribe of the Sith on Kesh. Now I will focus on what I will be referring to as the Sato line of the Sith. A few hundred years after the Great Hyperspace War, a Jedi by the name of Freedom Nad would end up on the moon of Yavin 4 and would be seduced to the dark side. Here, he would become the apprentice of Naga Sato until he became powerful and skilled enough to succeed him, at which point he traveled to Onderon, became its ruler, and started his Nadist cult. Approximately 400 years after this, the manipulation of Freedom Nad's spirit would lead to two more Jedi falling to the dark side, Exar Kun and Ulic Qel-Droma. Out of these two, Ulic Qel-Droma is redeemed to the light side during the Great Sith War, while Exar Kun admits defeat and tethers his spirit to the Great Temple of Yavin 4, hoping to return in the future. This would end the Sato line. Following the Great Sith War with Exar Kun, we get, in quotation marks, three separate wars: the Mandalorian Wars, Jedi Civil War, and the First Jedi Purge. The Mandalorian Wars would be the main catalyst for the creation of this new breed of Sith, led by Darth Revan and Darth Malak, as a majority of the Jedi who fought in this war would be seduced to the dark side or destroyed during it. The Jedi Civil War follows the Mandalorian Wars, as Revan and Malak lead the forces of the now Dark Jedi and other military that once defended the Republic against this very same Republic that they once swore to protect. Revan would be redeemed, Malak would be killed, and their empire would begin to crumble. The First Jedi Purge would be a direct follow-up to the Jedi Civil War, as a new group takes the mantle that Revan and Malak once held and lead the remnant Sith forces in an attempt to wipe out all of the Jedi: Darth Traya, Nihilus, and Sion, otherwise known as the Sith Triumvirate. They would all three be killed, and the galaxy would know peace for 300 years. We finally get to SWTOR. Here, the Sith Emperor Vitiate would reveal his empire to the galaxy and set out an attempt at claiming the galaxy for himself. Due to this being released at the very tail end of the pre-2014 expanding universe, I will say that what happens to his empire is unknown, other than the fact that it is no longer present by the time of stories that take place afterwards. As a result, I will say that Vitiate's empire was destroyed, with very few records of it remaining. This would be the last major event involving the Sith for over 1,000 years. Here we are now at the new Sith Wars. This begins when an Umbaran Jedi Master falls to the dark side and claims the mantle of Darth Ruin. He would recreate the Sith and cause conflict for 1,000 years, most of which he would be dead for. This era is mostly covered in RPG material, and thus there aren't many major characters and events worth mentioning in the grand scheme of things. Almost 1,000 years later, a Sith Lord by the name of Lord Khan would gather up all of the Sith and unite them as the Brotherhood of Darkness. This would be the last vestige of the pre-rule of two Sith. They would be destroyed at the seventh Battle of Ruusan, leaving the Sith Lord Darth Bane as the sole survivor and allowing for the creation of the Rule of Two. In short, I will refer to this timeline as advancement of events in this order: the 100-Year Darkness, the Golden Age of the Sith, Great Hyperspace War, Great Sith War, Jedi Civil War, Great Galactic War, and then finally the new Sith Wars. If you enjoyed this video and would like to support the channel, please feel free to like, subscribe, and recommend my videos to your friends.